Hello and welcome back to Vallo Vision News. I'm Tariana Richardson. Thanks so much for watching. We are just hours away from polls opening in the 2020 election, but millions of voters across the country have already made their voices heard. More than 91.6 million Americans have voted so far. That's about 67% of the total ballots cast 4 years ago. These votes represent about 43% of registered voters nationwide. A majority of states are reporting a record early voting turnout for the 2020 election. Here in Alabama, more than 271,000 absentee ballots were requested, shattering the old record of 89,000. 16 states have already seen more than half of their registered voters cast ballots ahead of November 3rd. President Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden are making their final pitch to Americans ahead of Election Day tomorrow. Vallo has the latest from Wilmington, Delaware.
It's the final push for the White House.
Hello, Wisconsin. We're back. We're back. We're going to win.
It's time for Donald Trump to pack his bags and go home.
Democratic nominee Joe Biden and President Trump packing the punches on the eve of the election.
Tomorrow, we can put an end to a president that has failed to protect this nation. And tomorrow, we can put an end to a president that has fanned the flames of hate all across this country.
Under my leadership, our economy is now growing at the fastest rate ever recorded.
President Trump hitting up 4 battleground states for 5 rallies, ending in Michigan, beginning in North Carolina.
Obama, he went out yesterday with Biden. They got like 14 people. They didn't have too many. They didn't have too good a crowd. And we have 5 of these today, 5.
Both candidates making stops in the critical battleground state of Pennsylvania. Biden spending most of the day reaching out to voters in the state with his vice presidential pick, Kamala Harris, after campaigning earlier in Cleveland, Ohio.
On the one hand, we're facing the biggest threat of who we are, what we believe, and what we've seen, what we've been in our lifetimes. On the other hand, our future has never been more promising.
In Wilmington, Delaware, I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
Polling locations across Alabama will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. tomorrow, as long as you are in line to vote by 7 p.m. You will be allowed to vote, no matter how long it takes to cast your ballot. The CDC is reminding Americans to be cautious while voting. They've released safety tips to help lessen the spread of COVID-19. Among the recommendations, wearing a mask, maintaining distance from others, and washing hands before and after casting ballots. The CDC also recommends bringing your own supplies, like a pen, tissues, and hand sanitizer, to avoid contracting or even spreading the virus. And lastly, the CDC wants you to try to limit your time at the polls. They suggest filling out a sample of ballots so you can fill out the real one and help decrease delays and crowding at polls. We've placed a link to sample ballot for Shelby County on the Vallo Vision News Facebook page. COVID-19 cases across the U.S. continue to surge, reaching almost 9.3 million. Nationwide, there have been more than 231,000 COVID-related deaths. Here in Alabama, there have been more than 194,000 cases of the virus. Almost 3,000 Alabamians have died because of COVID. According to Friday's update on the COVID dashboard, there are currently 9 active students' cases. All are in isolation off campus. There are 2 COVID cases among employees. To see updates on the COVID numbers on campus, check out the link to UM's COVID dashboard on our Facebook page. Cleanup continues in Alabama after Hurricane Zeta left a path of destruction across much of the state. Here on campus, several trees were blown across or damaged by Zeta's high winds. The National Weather Service Birmingham office says Shelby County had estimated wind gusts between 45 and 55 miles per hour. According to Alabama Power, more than 500,000 customers across the state lost power during the storm. Spring registration continues this week. Sophomores can start signing up for spring classes tomorrow, November 3rd. Freshmen can sign up for classes starting Thursday, November 5th. Registration opens at 7 a.m. on those days. Graduate students, seniors, and juniors started signing up for classes last week. is extending the time students have to drop a class this semester. Students now have until this Wednesday, November 4th. The original deadline was October 30th, but it was moved back due to the widespread power outages caused by Hurricane Zeta. If you need help dropping a class or withdrawing for the semester, you can contact the registrar's office at 665-6040. Remember, there's always more news 24/7 on our social media pages. Just search for Vallo Vision News on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for more stories throughout the week. You can also see more campus and community stories from our student reporters on our website, vallovisionnews.wordpress.com, including more about damage caused by Zeta in Montevallo and how the golf team is adapting to COVID-19. Still ahead on Vallo Vision News, a Netflix price increase, how binging your favorite shows will impact your budget. Plus, Taylor Swift's Folklore album sets a record for 2020. Those stories and more after the break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Vallo Vision News. A lot of us have been binge watching Netflix during the pandemic. Well, heads up, it's now going to cost us just a little more. Last week, Netflix announced it's raising prices on its standard and premium plans. The company's standard plan is now $14, up $1 from last year. A premium subscription will go up $2 to $18 a month. The basic plan remains unchanged at $9 a month. Fewer people are apparently spending their days on Facebook. The social media site said it has been a slight drop in its daily and monthly active users in the U.S. and Canada. The company expects the trend to continue in 2021. Meanwhile, Facebook saw a steep increase in the revenue this year, a jump of 22% over last year. It points to the pandemic causing a shift to commerce online, which increased advertising demands. Apple's Mac computers had their best quarterly earnings ever. The company says it sold more than $9 billion worth of computers in the third quarter of 2020. That's compared to under $7 billion in sales during the same time last year. Apple is partly crediting the pandemic and the need to assemble home offices. The Mac computer has been around since 1984. Call her the quarantine queen. Taylor Swift's Folklore is now the first album to sell 1 million albums in 2020. She recorded the surprise album during the quarantine and released it in July, with just 12 hours notice to fans. The pop megastar is on a roll. Her last album, Lover, was the only album to sell 1 million copies in 2019. All 9 of Swift's albums have now sold 1 million copies or more. And finally, this week, if all the talk about the election has left you with a bitter taste in your mouth, Krispy Kreme wants to give you a sweet treat for free. The chain is giving away free donuts on Election Day. Just visit your local Krispy Kreme on November 3rd and you'll get a free glazed donut. Don't worry if you voted early. You won't be turned away. In addition to the free donut, you'll also get a free I voted sticker. That's all the time we have for today's show. Remember, there's always more 24/7 news on our local social media pages. Just search for Vallo Vision News on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for more stories throughout the week. Thanks for watching and be sure to vote on Tuesday.